Welcome everyone to Sharp Talk. My name is Tomas and standing beside me is Doug Marcaida, legendary Kali martial artist, edge impact weapon specialist, and forged in fire judge.
That's a lot of words.
Hey, well deserved. We're super stoked. You may notice this is a different background than what we're typically used to filming in because we're live.
We're live.
And he can physically hurt me.
That's right. No internet warriors here calling me from afar.
Yeah, not the worst. You guys, we're super stoked because today we're talking about disarms.
Disarm. Let's cut right into it.
A lot of you guys have been commenting and asking to do some tutorials on disarms. What are they? Are they even practical for blades? Doug, I'm gonna pass it to you. Why do we even consider a disarm, and what does the term mean for defending the snake?
If you are armed with an edge weapon, like we'll have a short sword here, right? Disarms means, boom, this arm, boom, that leg, boom, that neck or that head, right? The act is cutting from afar. We have this term in Filipino martial arts that says defanging the snake. So what we do is we take the fangs of the snake away, the one that carries the weapon, right? We take the fang of the snake away because that's what's going to offend me. Take away the aggression, not the aggressor. Now, when we're training with disarms, a lot of that really is about if I had a weapon, I will never, ever make contact with a person from a distance. Rather, I will not be this range. I have the range to do the disarm right here, weapon to the offending fang. But in training, what does it teach you? Well, if we're going to go with impact weapons, for example, right? You just hit the snake. It's called defanging the snake. I hit that, it's over with. Why don't I go straight for the head? It's because he can also go straight for the head and we just cancel each other out. There are also times within range where I may not have taken out the fang of the snake. But I also have to learn, sometimes I don't have a weapon to attack him from distance or from range. Sometimes I have to be close range, or sometimes even worse, I don't have a tool. So disarm training teaches you how the hands move. That's all it is. For example, if with training, I know that I can just hit him. That's basically what works. But now to develop other skills, I now have to learn to lock him up, strike and hit, lock him up, and then remove. And I learned to capture the weapon, disarm him, by doing that all with a tool in my hand. If he goes in here, I'm hitting here. I'm learning to do this, all the same idea. Now I've already done this. What if I move it this way and use the tool in the hand? Or if I were to strike with a tool in the hand and use whatever fancy moves I want, it's all about leverage. Because in disarming, I understand how the fingers work, the wrist work, the elbow and shoulder work.
Doug, I'm a visual learner. What do you mean by how it works?
Yes, for example, a simple, in empty hand arts, they teach you the wrist lock. They teach you different ways that the wrist won't go, how you can bend it, putting the pressure in there, how I can use the elbow, how it becomes a shoulder issue, or how I can use leverage to throw. These are all empty hand motions of using lock flow that we do in Filipino martial arts, right? So by understanding all this, but it can be taught empty hands. What if I'm able to do everything with a stick in my hand? The reason why that's important, because the stick becomes a metaphor for your arm, their arm. Understanding the joints is where I'm going to get the weapon release. What do we mean by that? So if I can do this and strike, this whole stick that I'm using up here can now become this. If I were to drop it right here, you got an arm break right there, right?
I felt that.
So I automatically, if I know the locks right there, I can feel that, right? Because this would have been my stick. This is the same thing as me doing this, right? The same idea is that now, all of a sudden, if I did this earlier, if I have a sacrifice fly, I can do this empty-handed. And now I'm getting the locks in here because I know the elbow doesn't work that way. I have third-hand principles from disarming. The rest of my body learns how to be a third hand. One hand, two hands, three hands. Why? Because most of the time when I'm doing these, whether it's right or left, my hands are free to be used to in case I'm using them for something else. I can use it as leverage. So as I'm training the disarms, I not only have a more advanced way of using my hand to lock the hand, or my hand to get the fingers, or my hand to rotate the wrist, or my hand to put him in any position that can either, now it could be on wrist, could be on the shoulder, could be on the elbow if I lock it up this way. You see, so as I'm doing this, it's all teaching me an advanced way of learning how to fight empty-handed. Because all of a sudden, when I strike without thinking, that's my disarm. Because I've learned to do all these motions, sacrifice motion with my hands. Knowing that impact weapon has to be delivered as a hand butter, but the minute I see that, I know the wrist won't turn this way, or I know if it's bent in this way, it's going to be a problem to him, or if I lock it up this way, the elbow won't work that way. Because I have that training with like an object that I cannot feel. But because it is an advanced way of learning, whatever I do here, I should be able to do with a stick.
Now, I have to interject here. It seems like these motions that you're doing mimic some of that of the Kali warm-ups.
Yeah.
Would you say that some of these could be hidden inside of
Oh,
the Kali
absolutely.
warm-ups?
Because what happens when you're training with this, right? Everything's a metaphor. Who carries a stick every day? So you have to look at stick-like objects everywhere. And if I don't have this weapon, I'll use my physical weapon. This is my arm. That's my weapon here, that's my weapon there. When you start to see my warm-ups here to get my arm stretch, you see this is a warm-up to get the stretch. But if it's done on him, it's not a stretch, it's a lock, right? So all these things, if I go down here and I can go straight on the elbow, or if I bend it, you know, all of a sudden you can see the locks that we have here from disarming, right? But if I had an empty hand, it's no different than pulverizing here and getting to straight elbow, or if I wanted to do a bent arm lock. Much easier because I have my hands, trap the leg, hit here. But if I had the stick, which I just did, the training is to keep you cleaner in your techniques. They say, practice makes perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. What do? Put a longer weapon in there because it'll correct your form. So all of a sudden, the very same technique that I'm doing here, I have to learn to do it with a stick in my hand. That's a lot more work. But look at the end result here, right? When I grab his stick or whatever, look at the end result when I put the pressure in there, right? Bam, right? I'm so used to being able to let go of the weapon because I am the weapon.
You feel it.
Sometimes I don't have this, but in my clothes, I can just feel it right now. I can feel it the way I'm moving. I automatically know, you know, bam, oh, I can feel it right in here, right? And I take the rest. I can put the pressure on the elbow there. You can feel that, right? Oh, yeah. So it's all a tactile feel. It's all a tactile feel of my body because I've done so many with something in my hand. Now with nothing in my hand, it's easy. That's why working with a tool in your hand, doing something is an advanced way of teaching you how to actually do stuff, especially because we do it with something in our hands.
Well, you gave me something to put back in my hands and more knowledge in my mind. That is for sure.
The main thing, just hit, pank, done, right? So what's this other stuff? This is the fun stuff. This is the stuff that the art will tell you to be creative. The art is showing the art form in seeing, can I do it this way? Can I do it that way? Can I do it this way? Grab in there, right? So one of the games is, we only have one weapon. Exactly, right? That's a weapon. And what happens if you don't understand the game here is give and take. I give him the stick, he takes it away from me. That's it. He gives it to me, I learn how to use it myself. Now I give it to him. He learns to do it whichever way he feeds, so it's a give and take. So I'm gonna get pack, return to sender, I feed here. Bam. Circular strike, I come out here. Now, I've come out here, I will just do a simple elbow, wrist, and strike. I give a backhand here. Circular. I'll strike, maybe I've got the elbow here earlier, I'll go using my body for that. So there's so much that can be happening. There's give and take. There's no right or wrong. There's only the feel. It's only because this is going to be incidental. And that's the reality of empty hand disarming. It's incidental. I don't look for that. I either run, throw something, or hit something with. But sometimes in a sacrifice fly, we're here and we don't know where the weapon is. We have to figure out where the weapon is. Show the weapon. There. We have to figure where the weapon is and know who's going to use it. Maybe from here, I can already feel, the elbow, right? Because it's strapped in there. Bang! So I can already rip that. You're not going anywhere. That's where I'm going for. If he delivers that piece, regardless, I know where the elbow is. So I can put pressure in here, can go out here, or the wrist is right there. I have that. So it's a feel thing. So the main thing is, as you're seeing this, as you're going through, you see tons of particular Filipino martial art drills here where they're going. A lot of this is really teaching you that the disarm happens in the hit, in the hit, in the hit. So we're always constantly attacking different targets. I'll use this so that you can see a little bit more visual, right? So he strikes in there, I'm cutting the arm. I feed, his turn to learn how to do that. I cut the arm, I feed, I cut the arm. He feeds, I cut the arm. I feed, I cut the arm. He feeds, I cut the arm, right? So there's your disarm. Now we continue on with the extra hand. I cut and parry. I feed. I cut and strike. I feed. I cut and strike. I wipe and cut. I feed. So as you can see now that I have two hands involved, I can do so much more because as I'm doing this cut and feed exercise, go for the feed, I'm feeding to cut. Now all of a sudden I don't have a weapon. It just flows right into it.
Wow. Speaking about flowing into it, make sure to follow and subscribe and check out other Sharp Talk episodes because this is just the start. We have a ton of content coming at you, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Doug, thank you.
Pleasure.